Prioritizing a career that let me work from home is by far one of the best changes that has come from the pandemic. But for some reason, companies just don't want us to have nice things. With Amazon's recent announcement about forcing all of their employees to return to office, along with some pretty heinous claims made by CEOs like Elon Musk and then other companies like Google or Apple, I wanted to sit us all down and clear up for once and for all why working from home is the best thing that I could have ever done for my mental health, and why you should also prioritize a career that lets you work from home. Welcome back to Organized Chaos. My name is Regan, and I am so very, very happy that you are here. If you've not been here before, you know that we talk about mental health at work and in life, and really just try to create a non-toxic space where we can all improve and grow, but also learn from one another. And you've caught me on a kind of a funky day because something's happening with my energy. I don't know if it's the energy in the world. I don't know if it's a transition to what are we in season? If it's a transition to autumn, whatever it is, I'm feeling a little bit quieter. I'm feeling a little bit more run down, a little bit more tired. My Oura Ring has been telling me that I've been sleeping well, but I've recently had the problem with the Oura Ring where it'll tell me I'm sleeping well, and I will wake up and be like, oh, I just don't know if I even agree with this. Regardless, my mood might be due to the fact that we woke up on Monday morning and it seemed like every tech company had something to say about return to office, and everyone in the world had something to say about return to office. So I wanted to jump on and debunk any myths or claims or thoughts that returning to office is the best course of action, and then also explain to you all why some of these companies may be making this decision, and remind you that you, no matter what, always have the choice. You always have the choice about where you work, how you work, what kind of people you work with. It may not feel like that, but you absolutely do. Let's start with a little bit of a story though. At the start of the pandemic, we all were forced to work from home. And I vividly remember this. I was I can't work from home, I get distracted working from home kind of girly, but that was because I just didn't know the benefits of it. I hadn't really sat down and thought about, nor had I tested the idea or the path of working from home. So I was super lost at first. I mean, I remember sitting at my desk and being like, oh God, what am I going to do for my entire day? Because my life used to be, I would wake up in the morning. Honestly, this was my routine. I would wake up in the morning at like 6 a.m. and then I would go and I would work out. Then I would either change and shower and get ready at the gym, or I would come back home and do the same exact thing. I didn't go to work and I'd sit down at my desk by 8:45, 9 o'clock. Then we would work. I would take a little bit of time for lunch. When I was working in the US, I did not take as much time as I did when I was working in the UK, but that's a total cultural difference. And then I would work until like 6 o'clock at night. Sometimes I had an event at night, and I would either go and see people. If I didn't work out in the morning, I'd work out in the evening, and then I'd go home. But it just felt like what I ended up doing was eat, sleep, work, repeat in some sort of order. It was almost like the GTL of the corporate life, like gym, tan, laundry, but this time it was eat, sleep, work, repeat. But I didn't know that. All of a sudden then you send me into work from home. Everybody is sent home because of the pandemic. And I kind of looked around and went, what am I going to do now? Well, I realized very quickly that my productivity skyrocketed because I just didn't know enough about my brain at that point. I didn't know how much better my focus would be if I wasn't in an office, if I wasn't constantly being bugged by other people, if I wasn't needing to be put in the position of being near somebody that I didn't really enjoy working with, being near weird sounds and smells and sights, and just an uncomfortable office environment that is already way too cold for women in general because the office temperature is set by men. And so it didn't take me that long to realize I much preferred working from home instead of in the office, because now all of a sudden I had time. I had time to do what I wanted. I had time to be my own person. Work did not become that entire priority for my life. Instead, work became a part of my life. We talked about, and I can't remember if it was last week, the week before. Either way, I'm going to pin it in the description box, whether you're watching on Spotify or YouTube. But we talked about this idea of what does success look like in your life, and how can you transform the way success looks like in your life? Well, working from home for me absolutely redefined what success looked like. It redefined my priorities. It made me remember that I am a human who's not a corporate robot 24/7. It helped me start hobbies again. I started I think during the pandemic, I picked up needlepointing. I started running again. I started reading again. I, before that point, had really stopped. And all of a sudden, I started surrounding myself in books, but it was because I had time. It was because I had the brain space. And my work flourished because of it. It didn't take a step back. It wasn't deprioritized necessarily in terms of its importance. It just leveled out because I brought everything else up to that level because I recognized I needed to be a full human. Working from home is not the enemy. While some people may say that they just don't know what to do with themselves, it's because, and I believe this, we have this warped view of what success looks like in our life. People who are afraid of working from home, people who don't understand the value of working from home, it may be because they work better in a different environment, but that is different from not liking working from home. I think what people are afraid of is all of the time they have on their hands. They're afraid of what their life might look like if they start to value and prioritize things other than work itself. And I can totally understand the fear that comes along with that, or the confusion if you want to use a different word. Because I'm sure when I say the word success, you have certain things pop into your head. Most of them being around your career and money and popularity and power. But success means so much more than that. Your work is only one piece of the puzzle. You have your professional life, but you also have your personal life. And working from home allowed me to discover who I was in each one of those individual areas. So I'm not saying everyone needs to work from home. This episode is really about what working from home allowed me to rediscover about myself. And I don't think people are upset at the concept of working from home. They're upset about this idea that you're not going to get enough done if you are not in the office. Working from home puts the power back into your hands. You have the autonomy and the agency to choose how you spend your time. You'll inevitably spend some of that working. This assumes, a successful working from home policy assumes that you are still going to get your work done. But now all of a sudden you have all this free time to start doing other things, to start discovering who you are outside of work. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. But people are afraid of what that might look like for them. In a post-pandemic world, we truly need to redefine what work-life balance looks like for us. Because we can no longer just sit at a desk from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., log on and log off, and be done with it. No. We are now receiving text messages while we're at the grocery store. We are answering calls after we finish our yoga class, and I want to be able to do all of those things. I'm not saying I never want to work. I'm saying the way our careers have been fed to us. I'm saying the narrative that has been given to us around what success looks like and what hard work looks like needs to change, because nobody is getting a promotion based on how long they put their butt in a seat. That is old school advice. The new school advice that I encourage every single one of us to follow is instead figure out who you are, what you want your career to look like, and build your routine around it in a way that is successful and sustainable for you. Nobody else is living this life except for you. So you are allowed to choose exactly how that goes. Now, I guess I can understand. You're like, Regan, you've had this success from working from home, but you might be thinking it's either not going to work for you or my company's not going to allow me to. Well, let's talk about why your company might not allow you to, because it's complicated. Corporate culture thrives on holding us to achievement-based success. It makes us believe that without these accolades, these badges, these promotions, these titles, we're nothing. And they love that because at the end of the day, think about it, a corporation wants you to achieve something for them. They want you to work hard for them. It's very rare that a corporation is truly looking at you as an individual. They are looking at you as a money-making machine, and that can be a bad and a good thing. It can be a bad thing if you are allowing them to take that agency away from you, but it could be a great thing if you are stepping in and saying, great, I'll be that money-making machine for you, but it does need to somewhat be on my own terms. And when I am not working for you, I'm going to get to choose how I live the rest of my life, because the burnout is real. The stress is real. We have so many different priorities and questions and things and goals and requests coming our way every single day that it is impossible to keep it all straight if you are allowing somebody else to make those decisions for you. You need to take that control of your life. You need to take that agency of your life, and you have the power to do so. But corporate culture keeps you waiting. It keeps you waiting for that external form of validation. It keeps you waiting for someone to notice that you've been working so hard. It keeps you waiting for your manager to see that you've been staying late at the office and you spent all this time on the presentation, when that's just not happening. And corporations inherently think we're more productive if we're in the office because they can monitor it. Of course they can monitor it. But what I don't understand here is when I was working in an office in the first place, when I was still working in corporate, it's not like I was actually in that office. I was working with distributed teams all over the world. I was constantly on video calls. most of my time in the office was actually spent in meeting rooms. That, or being incredibly distracted as I was trying to take a meeting with my earphones in while I was in the fucking bullpen, trying to focus on the conversation I was having at hand. And I was actually inherently less productive in that environment because of not only who I am, but just because of the pure level of distractions that exist in an office. I would so much rather be able to be productive at home and come into the office when it's truly necessary. There are leaders that will say the best way to work and to work with each other is being in an office. But what they're not focusing on is that the people that we work with are oftentimes not in the same office as us. So what do we do then? Why are they using this as an excuse? Well, they're using it as an excuse because it's an easy one. People are very quick to go, oh, of course, we're going to be more productive in office. That's a generational difference. I truly believe this. That's a generational difference. Most of the leaders come from a specific generation where they were required to be in the office. That's what you did. You wore a certain outfit, you acted a certain way. But this new generation of employees are 10 times more productive when they're not in the office itself, when they're able to actually sit and create their own environment and their own space and be productive on their own time. That is how I'm hoping we're going to see corporate culture shift, but it's going to take a while. Now, the final reason why this is a complicated conversation to have, why companies really, really want you to be back in the office, is they're often receiving stipends from the government itself. Because, of course, the government wants you to be back in the office. These cities want you to be back in the office. Otherwise, these ghost cities are going to be created. The overhead involved with keeping an office open is huge. If you think of the offices that Google has, that Apple has, that Meta has, these are huge office spaces that require a significant amount of overhead, but also manpower to keep it running. When you have food being served, when you need a janitorial staff, when you need just people there in order to keep things stocked and running and moving, well, they don't need those people if no one's actually in the office. But equally, you would be creating this ghost city where people aren't going out to lunch, people aren't spending from local vendors. And so I can understand that. We want to keep people moving. We want to keep these cities bustling. We want to support small businesses. But remember that they are making it seem like this is the best thing for us, that productivity is the reason why they're encouraging all of us to come back into office. But everyone is really doing something for the betterment of themselves. I'm not saying that they have malicious intent with this, not in the slightest. I'm just saying that they're never going to tell you 100% that a city is giving them a subsidy in order to bring you back into office so that they can save costs on the incredible overhead of renting these spaces that they're currently renting. Think about things from a more objective perspective and lens, especially when you're arguing the fact that working from an office is much more productive than working from home. Now, if you're still not convinced, if you're still sitting there and saying, I'm just not productive working from home, totally, that might be your situation. But I don't think you're mad at working from home. I think you just don't totally understand the way that you work the best. So that would be my first suggestion, is go and figure out the best way for you to work. Experiment. Try working from an office. Try working from a coffee shop. Try working from an office when you have calls all day. Try working from home when you have calls all day. Recognize that not everybody is going to be able to work the same way, and that is okay. That is the beautiful thing about being able to work on distributed teams, on diverse teams, on complicated teams. We want to bring these challenges into our life, but we also want to remember that we have the decision-making power over how our lives are led and how our careers are built. So here are some tips that I have compiled of the best ways that I love to work from home. Because I love it. I will never go back. I will never change from a work from home environment. There are days when I want to go into a coffee shop. There are days where I want to talk to people, meet with people. But fundamentally, I will not do well. I cannot do well in an environment that requires me to work from an office 5 days a week. It's just not happening. So the first thing is figure out what kind of working style you have, go and test and iterate. The second thing is set up a dedicated workspace. If you are still working from your kitchen table, of course you're not going to like working from home. If you're working from your dingy bedroom, of course you're not going to like working from home. You need to create an environment that feels conducive to the way that you work. And it doesn't need to be fancy. I love my desk setup. I'm sitting right in front of a window. I have my desk. I'm very lucky to have a standing desk. It was something that I needed. But I have my desk, I have my keyboard, I have my screen, but I've added some cute little elements into it. I have a purple cloud, what do they call it? Like wrist supporter. That's just in my style. I've hung things on my walls to make sure, I'm sitting at my desk right now, to make sure that I feel comfortable in my space, that I have reminders of what else exists in my life besides just work. I have my favorite art prints that I've collected. I have my favorite pens sitting in a cute cup. I have my favorite scents and my favorite smells. And you are allowed to do that. For so long, we've been fed this idea that we need to conform to the way the corporate world works. That is outdated ideology. The world of working has changed. In a post-pandemic world, like I've said earlier on, we have to change our relationship with work and life. We have to mold them together. I don't believe in work-life balance. I think it's unattainable. I think it's unrealistic. We're not going to be able to completely create the separation between work and life. So you do need to be able to build it in to what you are doing on a day-to-day basis and create boundaries that allow yourself to fall in love with what you're doing all over again. You don't need to be doing the most exciting work every single day, but your space, the space that you sit at, the space that you're practically living at, needs to be comfortable for you. And if you're sitting there and saying, but it's expensive, well, that's my next tip, is ask about a stipend. So many companies, especially the companies that are fully remote, will have a stipend available for you, will give you money in order to set up your desk. Maybe it's not a huge amount, but it gets you started, it gets you there. Start prioritizing it. I think you're going to see how much your relationship with your job changes. We know from psychology that the environment that we're sitting in changes our emotions. It changes the way that we live and breathe and feel and our motivation around certain things. That's why people with ADHD normally need to have, if they're starting a new project, a sparkly notebook, something that's fun and exciting and bright because they're creating that visual trigger for themselves. Do the same exact thing regardless of your neurodivergent status. The next thing that I will say, and this might sound cliche, but it's honest to God, like it's so true. Establish a routine and stick with it. Now, I'm not going to say every single day I get dressed and I put on a fancy outfit and I put on my makeup. Like, no, some days you are going to find me with my hair in a bun, my glasses on, a sweatshirt on all day long. But I notice that I feel so much better when I actually make an effort to get ready in the morning, when I make an effort to follow this schedule. The first thing that I do when I feel burnout creeping in or my demotivation happening, and this is going to happen because we're imperfect, is I will establish or reestablish my routine immediately. I reestablish it. I write out everything, what I want to do, how I want to do it, when I want to get it done. And I start checking things off the list. And those are things just as small as even shower, brush my teeth, get ready. I mean, every day I shower and brush my teeth, but it helps. It helps you because you feel like you have this track to follow. It creates a structure for your brain to follow, which in moments of demotivation is important in giving yourself that creative space to go and think about other things that you want to do and other things that excite you. But if you're spending brain power on some of these small decisions of, I need to get up and go eat breakfast and like that's going to make some of these other bigger decisions, these challenges that you're dealing with at work, because I know that you are, much more difficult. So follow that routine. The next is load up on food, load up on snacks. The reason why you go to the office may be because, and I remember this when I was working in tech, there are snacks there. And you need to make your environment exciting and fun to work in. So what my husband and I have done is we typically have snacks in the house. We have quick snacks that we can go and grab throughout the day that make it super easy for us to eat and have sustenance. Like, especially if you live in the US or the UK, even Europe has them. There are so many different little snack packs available for you. Somebody needs to start a work from home snack business. This maybe is like a great business idea for somebody because I've not seen this yet. But if someone would just send me a box of snacks every single week, like I'd be in hog heaven. They have to be gluten-free, but I would be in absolute hog heaven. And it's something I would pay for. If you had a little box of snacks that maybe that maybe change depending on the week or the season, I would be so into it because that's one of the biggest challenges that I have working from home is I often just feel like eating, kind of refilling my water bottle, all that stuff. It takes time and it takes brain space. And I don't always feel like I have that brain space. But if they were things that were kind of prepackaged and ready to go and ready to grab in the house, it'd be so much easier. So in the absence of that, knowing that that's not an option for us right now, still is something that you can do. We have seaweed snacks. We have nuts. We have, what else? We have granola. We have a bunch of stuff. Go and make some snacks for yourself and just hold it there. It doesn't need to be complicated. Don't overcomplicate it. Just go and do it. I promise you'll feel better. The last thing is you got to stop working at some point. If you are working from home and you don't have really clear boundaries, you're going to hate it. You are going to hate it here. You are going to hate it in the work from home space if you don't have those clear boundaries and you're not set with, all right, I'm going to start working at this time, stop working at this time, or even not that. What am I going to do today? Like, what 3 goals are you going to accomplish today? That's what I do. Every morning I sit down and I say, what are 3 goals I'm going to accomplish today? I'm going to record a podcast, I'm going to meet with a client, and I'm going to, or I don't know, whatever the third thing is. And then anything else I do on top of that, anything else is a benefit. It's a bonus. And I know that I'm able to stop if my brain starts to wane, if I feel like I've been sitting too long, if I feel like I'm just losing focus. Psychology also tells us that our brain solves problems constantly in the background, even if we're not actively thinking about it. And psychologists can tell who is going to be able to create a more creative solution based on the amount of time they actually spend actively thinking about it. The people who walk away from their role, the people who shut their laptop, go and walk away and read a book, they go on a walk, they go and spend time with their family, those are the people that are going to come up with the most creative solutions. How many times in the shower have you had this aha moment of like, oh, that's how I'm going to solve that problem? Remember that you are able to do that, even if you're not sitting at your desk. One of the big mistakes that I made, especially early on in my career, is thinking that a butt and a seat meant a promotion. No one is being given a promotion off of that. What they are given a promotion off of is their output. So how are you allowing yourself to contribute to output? How are you allowing yourself to create more creative ideas? That space is important. Hobbies are important. Being a full, well-rounded human individual is important. We spend 90,000 hours of our life at work. You might as well be building your schedule in a way that is actually supportive to you. If you're like, I don't even know how to start in making a schedule like that or changing my priorities with that, I have a ton of resources available for you. I have an episode on self-care, on changing how you view success, an episode on how you can set your goals. We are 4 months, right? Yeah, 4 months before the end of the year. How insane is that? We're so close to getting to the end of the year. I can feel fall in the air. And yet, have you achieved your goals yet? Like, how you doing on those goals? If you don't know how to start achieving them, watch that video. That's going to be a great companion video to this one. And I know that you can do it. I know this feels hard. It feels uncomfortable. It feels weird and strange, but it's because you haven't done it before. But to bring us to a close, to kind of close all of this out, working from home is not the enemy. You working from home is not unproductive. Do not let anyone gaslight you into thinking it is an unproductive way for you to spend your time. What people are afraid of is the fact that they won't be able to monitor your productivity in a way that they're able to do in the office. But you know the benefits for you? The benefits are you'll have more time. You'll have more space. You'll have more room to be a full-fledged human fucking being like you are, to find your hobbies, to figure out what you love and what you don't love. There are ways for you to build a working from home pattern that are conducive to your own working style. We went through a ton of those suggestions in this video. Don't let corporations tell you how you should work best. You are allowed to move outside of the mold. You are allowed to create a life outside of the mold. But the final piece of all this is it is equitable to have a working from home policy. Not everybody works best in an office space. The idea that our mental health is going to be put below a company's profits makes my blood boil. You are allowed to stand up and disagree. You are allowed to make changes so that your life and your career fit together in a way that works for you. And if you've made it to the end of the video, here are your action items for the week, because we always finish with action items. The first thing that you're going to do is add something fun to your desk. Like if you don't have something fun on your desk, whether or not you work from home, go ahead and do that really quickly. It could be a photo, it could be a crystal, it could be a fun pen cup, it could be really anything. Go and change the background of your computer to a photo that brings you some sort of joy. We want to add these small moments into our life. The second thing I'm going to suggest you go and do is, if you don't work from home already, but you want to, or you want to change that policy for yourself, go and have a conversation with your team lead. Even if the requirement is everyone returns to office 5 days a week, I'm sure there's some flexibility. There has to be some level of flexibility. People need to be able to work from home. Maybe there's a policy where you'll have a couple weeks a year where you can work remotely. Ask about that work remote policy. If there's not a work remote policy, encourage your team leads to create one. It doesn't mean that you're saying, no, I don't want to work here anymore. It means that you are allowing yourself to stand up for what's really important to you. So go and have those conversations. The final thing I suggest that you do is figure out what you prioritize. Where does work in your career fall within the levels of importance of everything else going on in your life? Because once you figure that out, it unlocks the ability to have these conversations that can oftentimes be hard, to stand up for yourself. It builds the self-confidence. It removes the imposter syndrome, because you are going to be solid in what you want out of life. That brings us to the very end of this episode. If you do not already subscribe, please subscribe to the podcast. One thing I did need to mention is we are going to shift our podcast cadence. I am no longer going to be doing once a week. We're going to maybe go back to once a week here in the next couple of months, but definitely through the end of the year, I'm going to be doing every other week on the podcast. Let me know whether or not you like this cadence. If you have anything you want me to talk about in upcoming episodes, make sure that you subscribe, because what are you doing if you haven't subscribed yet? If you want to learn more non-toxic work and life advice, and follow me on Instagram and TikTok, Regan.Olsey. I'm building my community on both of those channels, and I would absolutely love to hear from you. Regardless, remember that you are worth everything you want in this life, and you just need to go and grab it. I'm Regan, and this has been another episode of Organized Chaos. I will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.